Up and there we go. We've got some movement. Felix has begun, and Cookiepocalypse has just started as well. So in this prologue section, you're going to see them hopping around a bunch because hopping is faster than walking, and right now they don't have a dash. They're going to get that in just a few seconds. Oh goodness, Felix, unfortunately, he tried to skip a cutscene, but he was not yet in the cutscene, and that defaulted to him retrying that screen. So he lost a few seconds there. That's really unfortunate, especially so early. Right here, this little bird is going to come down and teach them about the dash, which is this game's primary movement mechanic. You can jump, you can walk, you can dash, you can climb up walls, and you can combine these things to do completely ridiculous tricks. Some intended by the developers, some unintended, some just accepted by the developers, and you're going to see some amazing stuff going on. So Cookiepocalypse is off and running in the first area, the old site. You're going to see some really amazing tricks from him. This first level showcases almost all of the really great tricks you're going to see in this game. You've got hyper dashes, you've got wall bounces, you've got spike jumps. Cookiepocalypse is just making a mockery of this poor game. Felix taking a quick death there, trying to get over that spike thing with a super dash, but he decides not worth the trouble and he goes for the dash crystal instead. Another thing that you will see a lot of, oh my goodness, look at that. Another thing you will see a lot of that is a part of this game is the runner going really quickly through a transition, and on the other side of the transition, they'll keep all of their momentum and their dashes will refill. So that gives them a lot of really cool movement opportunities. Cookiepocalypse, he's trying to do the wall climb, and he gets it no problem. And he finishes with a really fantastic 112 for the old site. Felix, he is working on his own skip as well. He was trying to get underneath like Cookie did, but it didn't quite work out. That's a very difficult trick, to be able to do difficult hyper dash and also to keep your own dash. That's something I'm actually not very good at myself. In the meantime, Cookiepocalypse, he's moved on to the old site. In this section, each chapter has its own, that's a death, has its own different mechanics. Felix is entering the old site as well. So in this particular chapter, the mechanic, the gimmick, if you're a Nintendo hater, are these dream blocks that you can dash into, and you'll turn into that little arrow and dash all the way through to the other side. And it also recharges your dash, so you can do some very quick, very distance covering movements using these dash blocks. And if you're really careful, as Cookiepocalypse is, you can take some unintended angles and skip out on portions of these screens that you would have to do otherwise. And he's doing an excellent job of that. Right there, once again, making use of taking momentum through the transition in order to get through that room as fast as possible. Felix, right there, he just tried a difficult trick that lets you skip the cutscene and spawn yourself inside a dream block if you do your movement right. It's not quite as easy as it looks, and he just went for the normal cutscene skip, which is fine. Meanwhile, Cookiepocalypse, he is being chased by a whole bunch of other Madeleines, but he escapes them no problem, and he's making his way to the very end of the second part of this chapter, as Felix starts the intervention part, where he is going to be chased by this entity that the community likes to call Badeline. I don't really like to call her Badeline for various reasons, but that seems to be the accepted term. In either case, she is part of you, and it's hard to escape part of you, but Felix is doing a pretty good job of it right here. Cookiepocalypse, meanwhile, he has just finished up. So he is done with chapter 2. Now he's going to be moving on to the Celestial Resort. In Celestial Resort, that chapter's gimmick is It is these black and red dust bunnies that you see here. Oh, that's a really unfortunate death for Felix. That's at the end of a not particularly short room. That's very unfortunate. Ooh, Cookiepocalypse taking a death too. See, he's trying to take his momentum through the room. You can see he's resetting. When he died, he went out of the room and he went back in. I assume he was doing that in order to reset the room's cycles. Is when you enter a room for the first time, everything will be on a certain cycle. But if you die in that room and you restart it, everything will be on a different cycle that might not be so favorable. And this particular chapter is all about cycles, so it's very important to maintain that. But Felixy is all done being chased after, and so he is going to make the short little trek to the end of chapter 2 and join Cookiepocalypse, who's currently getting the keys to the maze. Right here, she just had a brief chat with Mr. Oshiro, the manager of the Celestial Resort. And he's left the resort in a little bit of a messy state, as you can see here. So this is a big, huge mess of clutter that we need to get taken care of. And we're going to do that by finding 3 different switches, I guess you could call it. 3 amenities, I suppose. You hit the amenities and the hotel will clean itself up a little bit. So he's currently working his way to the first one. Does an excellent spike jump right there. And there, he has made his way to the box. He almost passed right by it. And now you can see that some of the clutter has been cleared out. And so he's going to move on to the next one. So what's interesting about this room is that you can tackle these challenges in any order. And depending on the order that you tackle these 3 challenges, amenities, switches, what have you, different parts of the level will have disappeared. Like each color of block is represented by a different amenity. I'm going to keep using that word because I like it. And so he's just cleared out the books, and so now all of the books have disappeared from the main maze. Not just the main maze, but all the miniature challenges. Those books would have been there, and now they're gone. So the entire level layout changes, and it changes in different ways depending on the order in which you do these, which is really cool and interesting. I don't know if he plays with a keyboard. I mean, the UI would certainly suggest it because it's suggesting Z and X and C, which is, those are not normal buttons on a controller unless you're using a GameCube controller. I do not know which platform Felix is playing on. He did not have the same UI by any stretch. But Felixy is now starting to make his way through the maze. Cookiepocalypse has completely cleared the maze and is now making their way to the presidential suite. Which, I mean, it's pretty nice suite, honest. Ooh, oh, that's a painful death. He just barely clipped the corner. Oh, clipped the corner of a dust bunny. Felix is not having the best dust bunny luck right now either, though. He's making his way through that room far faster than I do, so props to him. Felix weighing their options. Oh, that's unfortunate. These particular walls, these weird hairy walls, if you walk over them, they will be covered with dust bunnies and they'll become danger walls. And so Cookie, unfortunately, covered his entire path forward with danger walls and was not able to progress. And so he had to reset the room. Felix taking a hit as well. The Celestial Resort, it is really, really hard to get through this area without getting hurt, because man, this stuff is everywhere and its hitbox is just devious. Sign up for commentary today? Hell yeah, I love doing commentary. I love the sound of my own voice. Oh my goodness, that's the worst possible place to die in this room. That's really unfortunate for Cookiepocalypse. And there we go. So now Cookiepocalypse has moved on to the very final section, which is the Oshiro chase. And this is a lot of people's most difficult part of the entire game. So you have to make some really difficult jumps, avoiding these dust bunnies, and also this Mr. Oshiro chasing after you. Every few seconds, Mr. Oshiro, he will track your horizontal position and he will charge directly at it. And if he hits you, you're dead. But you can also hit him. You can land on top of him, bonk him like a little anxious Goomba, and you will get your jumps back. Get your dashes back. So, that was painful. So if that is something you want to try, it could certainly pay off for you. But it's really, really hard to manipulate Mr. Oshiro, and especially if you're a newer player, I wouldn't recommend it. This last room that Cookiepocalypse just died in, this room is terrible. It's extremely long. It's very easy to die in, especially at the end. You can lose multiple minutes here if you're not careful, and you can see even a player as practiced as Cookiepocalypse is having issues. Meanwhile, Felix has just gotten the final key and is about to enter the presidential suite. Cookiepocalypse has just finished up the Celestial Resort and is now going to move on to Chapter 4, the Golden Ridge. So these two, they are not as far apart as you might expect. Cookiepocalypse taking a short break between chapters, which is perfectly okay. The in-game timer does not run in between chapters, and so long as they're not significantly delaying the game, they are allowed to take a break to get a drink of water, take a breather, that sort of thing. So as Felix gets chased by this goblin, Cookiepocalypse is moving on to the Golden Ridge. And this Golden Ridge's gimmick, there are several. You just saw one, which is bouncy clouds. You just saw another one, which is heavy winds, stolen straight from Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. And this is the third one, these launch bubbles. You will hop in one, and it will launch you in whatever direction you're holding and spit you out. And then you'll have another dash once you get out of that bubble. So it acts sort of like an extra dash that you don't fully control. And you can activate it early with the dash button. So players will most likely be doing that. And right here, we're going to see if Cookiepocalypse gets... And yes, Cookiepocalypse does the auto-scroller skip by doing a rather tricky spike jump. And there's another tricky spike jump. He's just wall jumping all over the place right now, like a wall jumping fool. And you can just see how powerful this speedrun tech is in this game. Oh, that's unfortunate. Going for a tricky jump, another auto-scroller skip, but does not quite get the distance he needs. Doesn't keep his dash. And so unfortunately he has to retry the room, giving Felix a little bit of time to try and catch up. Still separated by a minute or so of gameplay at the moment. Maybe 2 minutes, depending on your skill level. So yeah, right here, the wind doesn't always push you back. Sometimes it pushes you forward, which seems nice, but sometimes spikes are forward, and you don't like spikes. So Cookiepocalypse, oh yep, you can see there's an excellent auto-scroller skip right there. So one thing you've seen Cookiepocalypse do several times here is dash into the ground, and then Cookiepocalypse gets a whole bunch of momentum out of it. But they still keep their dash. I believe we call that a wave dash, named after Super Smash Bros. Melee and its creator, Masahiro Wave Dash. Ooh, that was painful. Trying to grab onto part of the wall there, but not quite making it. Ooh, very nice wall jump there. Skipped some essential bubbles. turned out to be not so essential. And so now we're going to see the final... Oh wait, not yet. There's still another room or so. Ooh, doing some swag, getting in front of that block instead of behind it, saving a little bit of time. And so now the final part of this... Ooh, that was painful. The final part of this chapter features these snowballs that will try and run into you. And just like Mr. Oshiro, you can jump on top of them to get your dashes back. But it's not an easy thing to do. This illustrates one of my favorite things about the level design of Celeste, is that throughout most of each level, you're able to take it slow, you're able to pace yourself. But at the end of every level, you have another element introduced that chases you and makes your life more difficult. And it introduces an anxiety, which is critical to the game's theme. And so the game talking about anxiety actually makes you, the player, anxious at the very end of each chapter. And I think that's really cool. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Cookiepocalypse. He's now moving on to the Mirror Temple as Felix... Ooh, almost making the same skip as Cookiepocalypse was able to, but unfortunately not making it. Decided to just go the intended route. So now Cookiepocalypse has to chase after this character Theo, who's really cool, well-meaning. Cookiepocalypse taking a pause. Not entirely sure what was going on there. That's a little unfortunate. Some sort of config thing. Anyway, Cookie now in the Mirror Temple, doing some tricky jumps to skip having to get an extra bubble. So in the Mirror Temple, instead of those blue bubbles like before, you have these red ones that will let you dash infinitely in a certain direction until you hit a wall or hop out of it. Oh good, we found Theo. But bad news, Theo is stuck in Bizarro World. Cookie is taking another breather. I think Cookie might be having some unforeseen or invisible to us technical difficulties. It's a little unclear. Or else some salesperson came to their door. Hard to say. Hopefully we'll hear more about this shortly. In the meantime, Felix has finished up the Golden Ridge and is now moving on to the Mirror Temple. So now Felix is starting to catch up. There's still... There we go. Cookie is back. Good to know. I'm going to have to ask about that later, exactly what was going on. Maybe we can find out. So Cookiepocalypse doing some quick skips here, and we're going to see... Oh, that was intended? Wow, I have never even seen that before. Doing a skip, an even more advanced version of the door skip that was intended by the developers. Just forgetting the bubble entirely, jumping right in like a madman. That was extremely impressive. My hat is off to you, Cookiepocalypse. Time Felix is making their way through the very first major room. So now, for that little short break, these two are much closer together. But Cookie still has maybe a minute or so of time advantage, having gotten here much faster than Felix did, even with the break. And so now... No, I have never seen double bubble skip. Alright, Cookiepocalypse had to deal with a thing. That's unfortunate, I hate things. And so now... Cookie is entering the spoopiest part of this game, which is the Seeker portion. We're going to activate the Seekers right now. So these guys, they're the Seekers. They will be searching low to high. Gonna get what they're after till the day they die. They will chase after Madeline, try to destroy her, but sometimes they will instead hit these little key things. Ooh, and Apocalypse bonks one. Oh, wow. And uses the explosion of the Seeker to hit one of the keys and open the door. That's really impressive. Yeah, these things are miserable. If they hit you, you die. They seek you much more accurately than Oshiro or Snowballs do. But you can bonk them and they'll explode, and you can use that explosion actually for a little bit of a boost or for a key hit. And so now Cookiepocalypse is going to do a trick called Search Skip, and does it expertly without even a break. That skip is actually a lot easier than it looks, and you can probably incorporate it into your own speedruns if you give it just a little bit of practice. Cookiepocalypse making their way quickly through the Seeker section as Felix gets ate by one of the Seekers. Unfortunate. This time, does it right, bonks it, and uses the corpse to open a door, using all parts of the buffalo. And so now Cookiepocalypse has moved on to the final section of this chapter, which is the Theo section. Theo has been encased in crystal because of some lesson about vanity or whatever. And so now we need to get him out because of some lesson about self-reliance or whatever. Those are not actually the themes of the game. This game is actually really thematically awesome. Ooh, Cookiepocalypse taking a death. And Felix is about to start Search Skip. And gets it first try. Very excellent. Theo murder percent. I don't know, Cookiepocalypse, he's trying his best to abandon Theo back there, but it's not working out. So he decides he'll bring Theo along after all. And Felix now is very, very close to picking up Theo as well. Let's see here. You can... Some very cool... Oh, just doesn't even need that platform. So some cool movement tech you can do with Theo. Ouch, that hurt. Is to lift Theo up, throw Theo, dash into Theo, throw him again. You can get a lot of horizontal movement out of Theo that way. 'Cause picking up Theo again in midair sort of extends your dash by just a bit. It's pretty interesting how it works. And strikes the all-knowing eye of Sauron and is out of the Mirror Temple. Well done. Felix is now making his way through the Theo section, about halfway through, I would say. And just taking out Seekers like it ain't no thing. So now, Cookiepocalypse is on Chapter 6, and we're about to see one of the gimmicks right here. We're in the middle of seeing it, which is this feather. And this feather is interesting because it is the only part of the game that really effectively uses the analog stick. Ooh, Cookiepocalypse trying to do a complete Kevin skip. Still having some trouble. Ooh, very nice. Was able to finally get the height they needed. They didn't even need to deal with the Kevin block at all. Yeah, using this feather, you can fly through the air like you just don't care. And you can use the analog stick to get a full 360 degrees of control to work with. I'm not sure if Cookiepocalypse is actually using an analog stick. I would suggest that they aren't because they seem to be moving on that 8-directional axis. And so now here's another skip where Cookiepocalypse abuses a certain... Oh, wow, very nice. Normally, Madeline would not be able to climb up that wall, but with some skillful jumping, you can ascend walls even if you're too tired. But Cookiepocalypse didn't even need to get to that point. They're just that fast. Ooh, a little too fast. There we go. It really does look like Cookie is on keyboard. I am seeing only 8 real directions of movement from these feathers. Ooh, Felix unfortunately fails to grab a wall. Felix most definitely using an analog stick. You can see the very slight movements that are being made. Ooh, unfortunately, Kevin bonks into a wall. Poor Kevin's got a headache now. So Cookiepocalypse is in the middle of a section where you get to choose your path. You can choose up or down at several different points. And it's generally faster to go up every time, except for at the end right here. This room ends up being faster. Also missing out on another mechanic right now, which are these little pinball bumper things, which will bounce Celeste away at a high speed and also replenish her dashes. Uh-oh. Felix fails to get back on the Kevin. Unfortunately gets left behind. Ooh, wow. Kevin bonked against like this tiniest pixel of the corner of the block. And now Cookiepocalypse must confront the physical manifestation of his anxiety and his depression. Because that is what Celeste Mountain is for. Ooh, goodness. Tried to hang onto a wall that would have let him very easily do a skip, but he failed to grab the wall, and so had to do that part of the level the normal way. Felix is currently making his way through the choose your own adventure section. Apparently choosing the same adventure as Cookie. Cookie is riding on this big long Kevin, so named because Kevin from Matt Makes Games supplied the voices, and here we go! This is one of the best boss battles in video game history, with the best soundtrack. I better see your hey-ahs in chat right now. Everybody, no excuses. So this is the battle against the other Madeline. You have to reach out and touch Madeline as she is trying to shoot lasers and little Hadoukens at you. If you hit either the laser or the Hadouken, you die and you go back to the start of the level. There we go. There are some hey-ahs. Thank you very much. Do we get underwater Kevins? I don't think we do. No. So this other Madeline has an enormous hitbox. Like, she takes damage when you actually make contact with her. But once you get close enough, you will be automatically pulled in, magnetized, and you'll even ignore attacks coming at you. They won't hurt you if you are close enough to her. So, that was unfortunate. Battle-in. As I mentioned before, I don't really like the term battle-in. I don't like the implication that, like, people who have anxiety and depression have, like, evil parts of themselves. But that's a personal thing. Cookiepocalypse just speeding through this room. This is an extremely fun room to speed through right there. Making it through the spikes, no problem. As he descends further and further into the mountain, doing battle with his own psyche. I wish dealing with your internal problems was always this cool looking. And so now, other Madeline levels up and now has telekinetic powers. Unfortunate. Almost got the skip, but managed to hit one of the spikes. So now these moving blocks are thrown into the mix. They can shoot you upwards and give you momentum if you jump off of them at the right time. But they can also squish you or just generally be a pain to work with. The Cookiepocalypse has excellent timing here and is able to take advantage of the blocks to give himself the momentum he needs to take out other Madeline. Felix is also engaged in this battle right now, closer to the start of it. And this right here, I believe, is the very final room of the battle. Skipping the bumper entirely, doesn't need it. One last hit, and that is it. Hey, Pardalin is a pretty interesting name. I might start using that. And so now Cookiepocalypse has leveled up. He is now level 2. Unfortunately, in the speed run, we do not make it all the way to level 10, where we will have the full 10 dashes. But 2 is going to be enough to complete the game, so it's not a big deal. And Reflection is done. Cookiepocalypse confirms he is on keyboard, which is kind of ridiculous. And so now, the final chapter begins. Felix takes a laser to the face, unfortunately, as Cookiepocalypse has reconciled with the other Madeline and is now fully powered Madeline and is now going to absolutely conquer Mount Celeste. So this part of the game takes you through all of the previous chapters of the game, basically. You start at the very bottom, which is Reflection, because that takes place at the bottom of the mountain. Spoilers. So now, at the very end of each section, you run into this little area where you have to run into the other Madeline orb. And you can use it to get some crazy height. But Cookiepocalypse does not need other Madeline to get crazy height. He's capable of it all by himself. So now he's on 500 meters, as Felix is currently on the very final part of the boss fights, dealing with the telekinetic blocks. Only a few rooms left for him, I'm pretty sure. Yep. With some skillful jumps, you don't even need to drop these particular blocks down. You can just hop right underneath. And here's the final room of 500 meters. And very nice wall jump right there to skip the final moving platform. Yeah, this... I would not be very good at this with a keyboard, I don't think. Cookiepocalypse now on 1,000 meters doing some excellent skips with that one major dash block, as Felix has just finished off the other Madeline boss fight. Now he is leveled up to level 2. And we're going to be, going through this particular room here because it is faster. This is another area where you get to choose your own adventure, and heading to the earlier room is generally faster. Yep, we're at 1,000 meters. We saw Reflection, we saw the Forsaken City. Now we're on the old site and the Dream Blocks again. Meanwhile, Felix, he is done with Reflection, and now he is going to tackle the summit. Next up, 1,500 meters, and we're back in the Celestial Resort, which is still a big old mess. And now it's an even more difficult mess to go through because the jumps are trickier and the dust bunnies are faster. Cookiepocalypse pays no mind to any of that. He has seen the apocalyptic, cookieless future. He has no fear whatsoever. That particular room right there he just went through is really fun because you can just walk off the edge as soon as you walk in, and you will just like perfectly pass by the first couple of dust bunnies. And Cookiepocalypse goes through secret room in order to get more speed, more fasts. And already in the final room and done with 1,500 meters. Can you use the Pro Controller on PC? I think it is possible. I have not tried it myself. So now Cookiepocalypse is on 2,000 meters and the Golden Ridge. He's going to go through this hidden area here because it is much faster. Basically skipping a couple of slow, somewhat difficult rooms and getting a strawberry. So there's some swag right there. Unfortunately, the snowballs are back. But with 2 dashes, it's easy to just make your way around them. Now time for a very nice auto-scroller skip that isn't yet done, but now it is. That was really impressive. Well done, Cookiepocalypse. Felix, meanwhile, has moved on to the 500-meter section. He's going to be contending with the moving platforms. We'll see if he can do some of these wall jumps and skip a little bit of level. Oh, Cookiepocalypse moving at maximum F-Zero GX speed through that last room. Just wall jumping like nobody's business. The wall jump is an extremely useful trick in this game. There are so many different applications. So many I'm seeing here that I haven't seen before. It's pretty annoying to do if you're not used to it. Once you get used to it, you can find it be very useful in a lot of places. So now Cookiepocalypse is on 2,500 meters and the final return area, which is the Mirror Temple. So we're once again contending with moving platforms and bubbles. You know, Felix has moved on to the 1,000 meter section. Ooh! Tries to do the really difficult dash skip. Gets it on the second try. Very nice. Meanwhile, Cookiepocalypse aces the key skip like a boss. Very impressive. But the real question is, on everyone's mind, will Cookiepocalypse do the door skip? We're going to find out in just a room or so. This is Legend of Zelda? Yeah, this is the throwback. Ooh, that's one door skip. And that's two door skips without even breaking a sweat. Very nice, Cookiepocalypse. Doesn't even need the moving platform. Who needs moving platforms? And now I just have to ride these two up. And now Cookiepocalypse is on the very final stretch. 3,000 meters, 30 flags. Count them down, chat. You know what to do. 29. Felix is back in the Celestial Resort right now at 1,500 meters. Actually putting up a really nice, really impressive time. Like, I looked up Felix's PB on speedrun.com. It's currently sitting at 50 minutes, 39 seconds. Felix is right now on track to just crush that PB to smithereens if he keeps on this pace. What flag are we at right now? We're on flag 22, it looks like. Chad, I was counting on you to count down those flags. Flag 21. Just moving through it, keeping this high speed despite this ridiculous wind pushing Cookiepocalypse down. You can't keep a Cookiepocalypse down. The wind can try, but it will fail. Felix having a little bit of trouble with this room right here. Not able to keep the dashes the way he wanted to. Which is unfortunate. Ooh, he's trying to get around activating that one block. And there we go. Looks like, oh no! Hit himself a dust bunny. That's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Cookiepocalypse has hit flag 13. We're on pace for a high 30-something. Maybe a 37 or so. Simultaneous death. We have the saddest sync. Felix really having trouble with the dust bunnies, unfortunately. And I don't blame him. Dust bunnies are the worst. Cookiepocalypse hits flag number 9. And Felix makes his way through that room finally. Getting close to being done with 1,500 meters, which I'm sure will be a welcome relief. It's a welcome relief for all speedrunners. So Cookiepocalypse has now found the feathers, and the feathers will carry Cookiepocalypse to the very top of the mountain. Skipping flag 5, very bold. But hitting flag 4. It's actually not super bold to skip flag 5. Ooh, that was unfortunate. Accidentally used both dashes on the way up. There we go. Or used both dashes but failed to get a wall jump. Makes it look like he accidentally used both dashes. So that's a very dangerous trick because not only do you lose time if you miss it, but you look like a fool, and nobody wants that. Cookiepocalypse skipping flag number 2. Now that is bold. And now it's flag number 1. And it is just... Yes, flags are checkpoints. You will respawn at a flag if you hit it. Cookiepocalypse just has one little bit further to go. Hits the flag. 36-51. Cookiepocalypse is the winner of this race. Very well done to Cookiepocalypse. G and G. Felix currently hanging out in the 2,000 meter section, making buds with some auto-scrolling blocks. Sorry, here, just opened up Discord, wondering if Cookiepocalypse is interested in talking for a little bit, or if we're just going to focus on Felix as he finishes up his run. Just about to make his way through 2,000 meter section and move on to the Mirror Temple. Felix still on pace for a truly mighty PB, at least according to the speedrun.com leaderboards. Perhaps there is another time we don't know about. Ooh, very nice. Standing at that little bit of platform there to skip having to use that one. Oh, that was rather unfortunately timed dash. Need to use the momentum of this block. Oh, there we go. Combined it with a wave dash to get some ridiculous speed. Ooh, these spikes are everywhere. You're just, minding your own business, going 100 million miles an hour. All of a sudden, spikes come right for your face. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, it's I gotta be honest. That pie, I have seen better strawberry pies in my day. So Felix trying to do a very difficult spike jump. Oh, very nice. Gets it after only a couple of tries. I'm going to see if we can switch the audio here. We can listen to Felix as he makes this high pressure climb through the Mirror Temple. Ooh, tries to skip their way through those spikes. Doesn't quite make it. That's an extremely narrow. Very nice, though. Ended up making it. Ooh, almost got it right there. Unfortunately, not going for door skip, which is understandable because it's door skip. It's really tough. You got an extremely narrow space to work with. But it's fine. He's out and through. And he's finishing up 2,500 meter section. One more set of moving blocks to contend with. And we are up and out. Felix is done. So now Felix is on the summit. Almost missed the dash crystal. Got it right there. Currently on flag 29. Way up. So now Felix is in this part of the level that just pushes this relentless downward wind, which doesn't really make sense if we're being honest. When was the last time you had a really powerful downward wind on you? Whatever, it's a video game. Stop taking it so seriously, chat. Makes it to flag 23, making a really incredible time compared to their current posted PB. Making it through these sections, no problem. It's flag number 20. And now time for some up dashes. Now we are working with an upward wind, which should be a lot friendlier. This section, you've got much larger jumps to make, and that was painful. So the big thing about this particular section is that you need to hold on to more of your dashes than you think pretty much all the time. So it looks like you will need multiple dashes to get through a section, but then you use them both and you find out you still need another dash even later on. And so that's the biggest annoyance of this particular area, is running out of dashes. If you speedrun the game, you eventually learn what to do and when, but for a casual player, it can get extremely annoying because you need to make jumps that don't look like you can make them. Ooh, unfortunate death right there at the end of flag 13. Trying to hit all of these keys and then make two particularly tight jumps. Got it, on to flag 12. Nice work. Nearly done. Well, I guess not that close to being done with the updraft section. Just a few more flags, and then we'll move on to the final couple of screens for the summit. There we go. We've got an audio switch. Excellent. Thank you. I still need to learn all of these commands. Felix hits flag number 9, hits a spike. One of these things is better than the other. Skipping flag 8, but it's no problem. Gets flag 7, like 8 doesn't even exist. So now grabbing this feather, still in the updraft section. This is one of the last screens. And there we go. We are now on the final screen of the summit and the final few flags. Going to take this feather through some very dangerous territory. No problem. Hits flag 3. Just a little bit more to go. Ooh, unfortunately hits the wrong side of that particular wall. That's unfortunate. But it's not a very big setback. Gonna get a quick try again. This time gets it no problem. Oh, ow. The very last possible second, taking some damage from a spike. No big deal. Still on an incredible pace. There we go. And hit flag 2. Just a little bit more to go. One more really difficult section. Then the final flag. Oh, the very last section. His posted PB on speedrun.com is 50 minutes and 39 seconds. So he's on pace to be that by almost 5 minutes, which in a tournament full of PBs would just be really stunningly shocking. Hello, Cookiepocalypse.
Hi.
Congratulations on the run, winning the race. And there is Felix, finished with 45.53. What an amazing improvement. Sorry, I had to interrupt you. How are you doing? What did you think of it?
I hated that run so much. Honestly, during Chapter 3, I probably got the angriest I've ever gotten at this game. In like the last 2 minutes of the chapter, I lost about a minute and a half. I like just didn't react to that well.
Yeah, I could see that you were taking, I think, more deaths in that particular chapter than in much of the rest of the game. That must have been a bit frustrating. Is that normally a chapter that gives you a lot of trouble?
It is definitely one of my most inconsistent chapters, but most of the time it's only a matter of like 20 seconds or so, and that was just awful.
Oh, yeah, it happens sometimes. It's hopefully not a recurring thing. So, I mean, besides that particular chapter, how did you feel about the run? Was there any part you thought went particularly well?
honestly, the run was kind of average up until Summit. My Summit was like a 7-second ILPB, but just like the section of getting up to 3,000 meters was my best by like 15 seconds. Like, I think that's the first time I've gotten like up to 2,500 meters without dying. I know that like I finished 1,500 meters 6 seconds faster than the like best I'd ever done, even in practice, and that was nice. Like
Yeah.
I had a really great summit.
That is very nice. You really did have a great summit. Well done to you. So how? Or I mean, I can look up right here how far off that was from your PB. I mean, it's still pretty close, like just a couple minutes out.
Yeah, just like if the stuff in chapter 3 and chapter 5 hadn't happened, like that's pretty much there.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I don't know. Are you still planning to grind this out and get a higher PB still? What are your goals for this game?
Honestly, I'm not really sure what my plans are. I don't really like plan things. I guess I'll probably keep playing because I'm still having a lot of fun with it.
Good. That's the most important thing. You have to be enjoying the speed run.
Yeah, just like having fun with this game makes it so much easier to run and like to grind out practice for.
Right, for sure. It can be quite a grind. So, for the tournament, this puts you at 6-0. So, feeling pretty confident that you're going to be making it into the bracket stages at this point.
Yeah, really, I'm guaranteed to get into the brackets at this point. But the important thing is, my final race is actually, so I'm the second seed in the group, and I ended up upsetting the first seed by like 30 seconds. And then the only race I have left is the third seed, whose PB is like very similar to the run I just got here.
See, so that's not quite a sure thing to get yourself to the very top seed.
Just got to practice more and make sure it won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. All right, so well, either way, I think like no one else can get a 7-0, right? At this point.
Yes, yeah. So if I lose, then there'll be a 3-way tie for first.
Okay, well, I don't know how ties are broken, but still, either way, you're in the bracket. And I mean, best of luck on your next race, hoping that you get seeded as high as possible.
Thanks.
So, I think Felix is going to pass on the interview, but again, great job on the race. So, before we cut out of here, is there anything else you want to say?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, no problem. So, I mean, thanks for taking the time. Congratulations on the win. So, for everyone else watching, thanks a bunch for watching. There's going to be another Celeste race 1 hour from now on the same channel with the same commentator. So, if you hate me, I'm sorry, but I will never leave you alone. So, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Feel free to tune in again in an hour's time for more of this, and have a good evening. Keep watching Speed Gaming. And if you want to support Speed Gaming because you love what they do, you can support them directly through PayPal. You can subscribe on Twitch, or you can support them on Patreon. So lots of different ways to give this person your money. So please give them your money because we all love Speed Gaming. So thanks again for watching. Have a great night.